Hi, I'm Sandy Ames, hypnotherapist. Today we're talking about focus issues, ADD, ADHD. Even if you've not been diagnosed with it, or even if your kid hasn't, but there's a focus thing going on, we're going to speak with expert LisaRMachenberg on both working with kids, adults, ourselves, and communication as parents.
Sandy, thank you so much for inviting me on your wonderful live stream. I'm really excited to come and talk about how parents can positively influence their children's focus and concentration. And just to give you a little bit of background about who I am, my name is LisaRMachenberg. I'm an instructor at HMI College of Hypnotherapy in beautiful Tarzana, California. I'm known as the Hypno Mom from the Steve Harvey Show. When I taught the techniques I'm going to teach you and your wonderful, wonderful following today. I also did The Doctors and Bravo and National Geographic, which was on how to use hypnosis to be perfectly comfortable during dental surgery without using any anesthesia.
I'm sure
And
you don't remember this, Lisa, but when I was taking your class about a decade ago, we did the dental stuff and you had us do this thing where we tap and visualize the Novocaine. And all of a sudden I tasted that poison in my mouth and then I couldn't move this side. It worked.
it works because once you have a memory, Sandy, of something that you had experienced, if you have any of the five senses that remind you of it, you can replicate it. It's just the way that the brain
Oh, no,
works.
okay, no, I'm tasting it right now.
Oh, no.
You hypnotized me a long time ago. It still works. I can't wait for you to really dive into the stuff about how to work with our kids, because so often when parents come to me, they have children with ADD, ADHD. First of all, everything I learned came from you. Everything I learned came from you. Thank you, Master. Once we get to work with the little techniques that we can use to really help our kids get to the other side of frustration. My favorite part of it, and you did this for me and you changed my life because I met you when my son was very little, maybe 2 or 3. Then what happens is communication changes and the relationship changes. So this isn't just about let my kid get some success at school. This changes lives. This changes families. And I'm getting goosebumps because Lisa, you do that and you've done it for so many people. And you're not bragging, but your Steve Harvey recordings were upwards of 11 million views.
11 million views. And I did teach the techniques. And the one thing that I would like everybody to remember when you have a child who is having any kind of a challenge with focus and concentration, and memorize this, Sandy. One more lecture is not going to help.
Thank you.
Who knew?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew? So we have to work with the brain, not against the brain. So, the only reason that we have Homo sapiens sapien is because we have one thing no other primate had: fire. So we are very drawn to flickering lights. All humankind is drawn to flickering lights, and I'll prove it. Have you ever had dinner at the fanciest restaurant with the most beautiful and sexy human you've ever met, ever, and there was a TV on? Where were you looking?
Directly in their eyes, loving them, feeling them with my heart.
You can't help it. You're drawn to the screen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not because it's so interesting looking at the Tide commercial. It's because of the flickering lights, the subtle flickering lights. So the first thing we have to remember when we have anybody in our home who has attention issues, and I'm going to define it, we're not going to give anybody a diagnosis, but some people have this hyper focus for things that they're captivated by, like video games, television. Sometimes it's Egypt or Pokemon.
Wait, what's Egypt? I mean,
Egypt
besides the
is a
place.
country, ancient Egypt.
Oh, that's literally. I
No,
thought it was a video game. Okay, people
no, no,
kids are
no.
mesmerized by ancient Egypt.
Sometimes it's Bible stuff. It's this hyper focus or puzzles, and they get this hyper focus. And then when there's something they're not very interested in, They are, it's not a won't, it is a can't. I'll say that again. It's not a won't, it's a can't. They cannot have sustained mental effort for anything they're not really, really interested in.
Well, it's happening to me right now because now you got Walk Like an Egyptian stuck in my head. And I'm curious, is that a racist song now?
You know what? I think it's cultural appropriation.
Okay. So I like that you said, I tease, but you said it's not a won't, it's I can't. They're not
can't.
What you're asking. They really can't.
They can't. But here's what the parents say, and they say it to you and they say it to me. They say, Lisa, Sandy, but my kid can play World of Warcraft with focused concentration for 6 hours, but can't do one double-digit multiplication problem on his homework.
And so they're from a won't perspective, and you're teaching the can't perspective.
Because if he could do World of Warcraft, he could do double-digit multiplication.
And it's not the case.
That's not the case. It feels like the case. It looks like the case, but feelings aren't facts.
I love you.
Why, thank you. I like you too. It's the Mutual Admiration Society. Let's go to a fancy restaurant and look at a television together. Yay! Okay. So, wait, was that sexual harassment?
I wasn't thinking sex, Lisa. I was coming from my heart. I don't know what you were thinking.
Damn. Okay. It's the 21st century. Okay, so anyway, so it looks like, whoa, it looks like a won't, but it's a can't. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to make sure all devices are off. Anything that has a screen is off, because they'll automatically be drawn to the screen. And then everybody gets really, 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 really frustrated.
Can I ask a clarification question? I think what you're saying is not turning the screen off as a punishment, just as a preemptive.
Yes. And you know where the problems are going to be. Let's prepare ahead of time. Who knew? Hey, do you remember taking your kids to CVS? I'll tell you exactly when. 5:30 in the afternoon.
The witching hour.
You knew what was going to happen when you took them in there, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You knew. So you prepare ahead. And I'll tell you what I do for those of you who are following along at home. I have twin sons. And then 2 years and 1 month later, I sneezed and popped out a daughter. So I had 303. My husband of 30 years is a physician. So I think I don't think he really had to go to work. I think he said, oh, there's an emergency. I have to go by, because it was easier taking out someone's gallbladder.
I sneeze and now I just pee a little.
Yeah. I got a hypnosis. Not that will stop it, but that you won't care as much. Okay. So I think he went to work because it was easier, to deal with someone bleeding out than to deal with 3 children under 3.
Yeah, true.
So sometimes I had to go to CVS at 5:30. I had to. So I would get 3 identical lollipops. They all had to be the same color. If you get 3 different colors, you're going to have a riot.
Okay.
And I'd say, we're going into CVS. Now, listen very carefully. When, then. Never if, then. Never if, then. When, then. When you guys are super cooperative, then you get to keep your lollipops. And I'd go.
So using the word when is actually a hypnotic technique, because it's implied that this is happening without an argument.
Watch this. Tell me what picture you make. I'm going to tell you 2 things. So wait for this picture.
Okay.
Sandy, when you don't sit down and do your homework, you're not getting you're not getting Hannah Montana tonight. You now listen to this picture. Sandy, when you sit down and do your homework, then you get all your television and internet privileges tonight. The first one, what picture did you make? If you don't do your homework, you're not getting your internet.
I have the worst mom ever, and I'm running away.
And you also got the picture of no internet, and you started to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
Right then, because you visualized not getting what you really, really want. Now watch this. When you sit down and do your homework with me, I'll sit down here. I'm going to balance my checkbook right here by you. And if you need any help, I'm right here. And when we sit down and do our work together, then you get all your internet privileges tonight.
I feel like the only way I can communicate that way is if I've already done some yoga and working out, right? Like I have to prepare myself before I can prepare them.
I love it. 2 glasses of wine, a Valium, Pilates, yoga, and an hour of Dr. Phil. Okay, I'm going to teach you one that has 100%, works 100% of the time. First of all, become aware that you're about to interact with your kid and become aware of your emotion. Awareness is the medicine of change. So I'm really scared I'm going to interact with my kid, where I'm expecting to be frustrated and rage. Where do I feel that feeling when you're about to interact with your 3-year-old, which she has a ton of will and no common sense. That's why I like 3-year-olds. They're my favorite age. Where do you feel the feeling in your body?
So you're asking me to answer that question right now? When I know my kids are just going to give me a hard time and I'm on my last little edge,
Yeah.
My neck gets really...
Okay. Everybody's a better parent at 8 a.m. than 8 p.m. That just comes with the territory. Mm-hmm. So you feel it in your neck, which means that you're terrified about what you have to express. For real. So 1, feel it in your neck. 2, Sandy, thank your beautiful body for giving you that information. Come right into gratitude, because this is really important information that you...
Well, I want to also thank you for complimenting my body, and I don't take it as sexual harassment, Lisa.
Let's go to that restaurant and watch TV.
That's great. Okay, I'm following what you're saying, because I really do. I feel it in my neck right now. So I feel it in my neck, and I thank my body for what?
Giving you the information that you're having some anxiety about interacting with your beautiful children. You love them, but sometimes you don't like them very much.
Can I play devil's advocate with you? Right? Because I'll give you what my clients give me back.
Absolutely.
Sounds lovely, but in that moment, I'm not thinking about my beautiful body. I just want to smack somebody and drink some wine.
I understand that. And you know what? Let me ask you something, anonymous mom. Do you want your children to react, or do you want your children to come into some awareness and respond with wisdom? Which is it that you want?
Obviously, I want the awareness and wisdom, and I can't get it for my kids unless I have it for myself first.
So I make you a 100% money back guarantee. I don't know what you're charging. I know what I'm charging. And now I have 100% of your attention. Your children will never do what you say, but they'll always do what you do.
Good. I love that, Lisa.
So if you're expecting it from your children, you have to model it. They will never do what you say, but they'll always do what you do. So you have to model it. And I'll give you some ideas about how to model it by narrating. Wow, I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm going to pause, and I'm going to put my hand on my neck, and I'm going to take a really deep breath right into my hand. Wow, I feel better now. When you unload the dishwasher, then you'll get all your internet privileges tonight. Now, I am married to a man who knew if I say, Brian, can you help me in the kitchen? He'll say, okay. But if I say, Brian, can you unload the dishwasher so I can reload? He will do it. When I say clean the kitchen, he has no idea. He thinks it's picking up the spoon off the floor and putting it in the sink.
What you said is so powerful, is so powerful, is so powerful. It's very specific. It's like when you go to get a smoothie at the smoothie shop. If they just have all the fruits and the vegetables out and they say pick, you can't. But if they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can pick your smoothie. Then you'll pick number 6 and change everything in it and make it your own anyway. But you need something specific to start with.
Hey, remember we talked about won'ts versus can'ts? Men, have you ever been down? Are you in LA, Sandy?
I'm in New York City now. I used to live in LA. That's where we met.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And you had a beautiful kitty, right?
You had a beautiful kitty. Do you still have your kitty named Wi-Fi?
Yes, but you had a kitty that
Oh, I
was,
did. It was the big
it was like an ocelot.
yeah, it wasn't mine. It belonged to my former partner, and the kitty and I never interacted. But yes, it was. I'm not even sure if it was legal.
It
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But that cat and we had a moment.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've never had a moment with that cat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I remember Bodie. I remember and going down to the beach, and I brought him a truck.
You sure did. I remember. I think we still have that truck.
I
Yeah.
hope so,
Yeah.
for your dog.
Yeah.
So, have you ever, when you were in LA, did you ever go to the La Brea Tar Pits
No, I don't know what that is.
with the mastodons, the big models of the mastodons? Okay. When humankind was evolving, your father, brothers, uncles, partners, all the men in the clan would kill a mastodon that came up, the first joint came up to your head. In other words, it has to be that big for a guy to see it. Women had to be hunters and gatherers. We had to know the difference between the poison berries and the not poison berries by the very subtle differences. This is why this is just an evolutionary adaptation. So when you say to Bodhi, son, when you clean your room, then you can play video games. And if you want, if you play something that I like, not steal my car for, if you play something like an adventure game, I'll even play with you. And by cleaning your room, I only mean three things, just three things. No dishes or food, that all comes out. Bed made, no clothes on the floor. That is the definition, mom's definition, not God's definition, not the government's definition. That's mom's definition of a clean room. And when you do those three things, the room is clean.
I've said so many brilliant things. I hope people are picking up on them. Some big stuff I've taken is when instead of if, go toward the positive instead of toward the punishment.
Right? Because people make an image. When I say you're going to go to the electric chair, what image do you get? How about when you follow, don't murder anybody, you get to be free forever and ever and ever. See, it's the pictures people make in their mind. So when you say, when you cooperate, then you get your privileges, people make an image of cooperating and getting their privileges, and they move towards that.
I love this. The when instead of if, the positive instead of the punishment, and the specifics. And I'm assuming specifics also works with female children, even though they weren't the mastodon killers.
They weren't, but specifics works with girls also. But if you say to a girl, clean your room, she will have her definition. And it might be that all of her ponies are lined up. The ponies are separated from the Hot Wheels. That might be her definition. Sorting and sequencing.
Yeah.
But you can do the same thing. Specifics work with everybody, but they are a must for men because of the evolutionary adaptation. If the parents lose their cool, their children are the real victim. Mommy's a monster. And they don't take any responsibility for pushing you to the brink. So here's the other nugget for your people. We separate our emotion from our parenting response. I will say it again. Separate your emotion from your parenting response. If you want your children to have emotional regulation, you need emotional regulation.
I love that so much. And I got to tell you, I'm one of the few people in New York who will work with children. And 90% of the time, the answer is no, because 100% of the time, it's about the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so when we work with children, we work with the parents too.
What we've covered now up until this point is a lot of communication with a child who's giving some pushback. We want them to do it. They don't want to do it. And you've given some really amazing tips on how to get there. Let's look at stuff that's not a fight, where just the child, him or herself, or themselves, are having difficulty getting to doing the homework. I remember it was already a decade ago. I was in your class. I'll have to look up my notes, but you talked about different colored pencils and things like that. What was that about?
Oh, you know what? How about do something easier?
Okay.
You want a 100% result?
Yes.
Pick up your kid, get one of the parents or a grandparent or a loving companion. Do not take your child home. Do not take your child home. Do not take your child home. Take your child immediately, have a yummy, delicious, nutritious snack in the car. Pick Bobby and Sally up from school. Give them the yummy, delicious snack in the back of the car and take them to the library. Not home where there's a refrigerator, the video game, the Xbox, and the dog.
And the mess on the floor in the bedroom. And something that's not your fault.
Take them to the library. Everybody at the library is doing something productive. Sit with your kid and do the homework at the library. When it is done, we'll go home and use. There's nothing you have to do.
What I love so much about this is while my kid's doing, I'm picturing because you pointed to your front of your head when you said it, I'm picturing myself getting my own work done as well. You gave us tips to use with children with ADD, ADHD. How about if I am an adult with attention issues, whether it's been diagnosed or not, because you taught me this, there is no blood test for ADD or ADHD. There's no blood test. So it's a doctor who decides to say, okay, you have this, right? It's
Yes.
real.
Yes.
But anybody can have it, even if it's diagnosed or undiagnosed.
Of course. So what happens is we just ask ourselves, are we having difficulty with sustained mental effort for stuff we don't really want to do? And then we say, okay, I'm having a little bit of a attention issue. We don't have to give it a diagnosis.
Everything I learned from you in that course on ADHD, I did the advanced course with you. Everything I learned, I use with all people. So just if you are listening to this, consider yourself someone who has had issues with focus. Everybody has.
Everything runs on a bell curve. Everything runs on a spectrum. Everything.
What tips do you give to adults for themselves?
Okay, you're ready. The first thing is take a deep breath. You're going to need it. Coffee. Stimulants are fantastic for focus. Anything with a little bit of caffeine, for real.
But isn't caffeine working? I'm playing devil's advocate. Isn't caffeine working against my anxiety issue?
Well, if we have it in the morning and we start with a quarter cup, nope, because now you have focus, concentration, and you're not all stressing about the stuff that you didn't get done.
Interesting. Do you recommend having this coffee in the morning on its own or with some fat and protein?
Absolutely, with a rainbow of fruits and vegetables.
And what about fat and protein? No, that's not.
Sure, you can do whatever you want, but have a little caffeine, even if it's a little green tea.
Okay.
A tiny bit is going to help. And then you want to do the following self-hypnosis. You imagine you have a remote in your hand. First, you give yourself that when and then. That's really important for adults.
What's an example of a when and then I would give myself as an adult?
When I finish my live stream with Sandy, then I will look at my email, because what ADHD or attention issues are, Sandy, the new research shows us it's an issue with working memory. So what that means is there is no real understanding of how to make transitions. I'll tell you what I mean. People with ADHD walk out the door without the stuff they need for the day. There's not a transition where they pause at the door and say, what do I need for work, for the team basketball game, and to pick up my child for soccer? They don't have that pause. You know, when you leave the house, you have a pause. What is it that I need to bring for my day when I leave the house? People with attention issues do not have that pause.
That's where in the person's hypnosis, I would have them visualize a Post-it note. Pick your color, decide if it's the Post-it note on top of the stack or if it's just by itself. Because when you write on a Post-it note on a table, it's different than if it's on top of a stack of Post-it, right? And so pick the pen you're going to use, feel yourself, see yourself writing that note to yourself, and put it right on your door. And it's all hypnotic.
I do something a little different. Get some tinfoil, put it on your doorknob.
Actually get, like, it's not in hypnosis. They actually put the tinfoil on the doorknob. Have you ever tinfoiled somebody's house, like toilet papered? No, you haven't?
But I have all my clients have foil on the doorknob. And when they feel it, they pause. What is it that I need to bring for today?
It's like the string around the finger. But do they get like over used to it? Like, do you change up? It's just so the foil just stays in and then you always remember.
Because it's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And it makes a noise. The other thing is this can be your worst enemy or your best friend.
You're looking at your phone. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can get lost. And it used to be that there were natural transitions. If you watch Star Trek, it went on at 6, it was off at 7. But now, if you're watching Star Trek, it says the next episode is in 5, 4, 3, 2. Mm-hmm. It used to be if you read the Stanford Advocate, first page, second page, third page, the paper is done. Now, if you get your news on Yahoo, to learn more, click this link. To learn more, click this link.
My problem with that is I do click that link to learn more, but the next thing I know, I'm looking at whose celebrities' kids are gay and which ones they're dating, and then I forget what I was reading about.
The 17th one will shock you.
And then they don't number them. And to get to number 17, click more, put your email in. I'm like, okay, subscribe here. I'm like, what am I buying?
Think about it. There's no natural transitions. So I say your worst enemy is your best friend. On your clock app, make an alarm for every 20 minutes. It will orient you in time. Because people get onto looking at the news at Yahoo and 4 hours has gone by.
That's amazing. Recently, I'm so happy to share this too, because it's like my favorite new little nugget is I have people go into their calendar. And you know how your calendar gives you the alert because you have a meeting coming up, or, it gives you those alerts for the stressful things in your life that you sort of have to do. So I say, put in an alert that has whatever your wonderful affirmation is. For you, it might be the word excellence or
effective.
Mine effective. Effective. I knew it was an E word and had double letters in it. So and my reminder in my phone, and you set it to pop up once or more than once a day, mine says plot twist, because then when things don't go my way, I go, oh, plot twist instead. So it's a different reaction to it.
Mine is mastery. Self-esteem through mastery. When we let our kids or ourselves get away with this stuff, it creates depression, because the only thing that raises our mood is doing something wonderful and feeling wonderful about it, making ourselves proud and feeling proud about it. Like, do people who are depressed, do they feel better laying on the couch watching Dr. Phil eating potato chips or getting up and taking a walk?
So what would that person give themselves as a reminder?
When I get my walk, then I can watch Dr. Phil and embrace and celebrate it.
Here we go, devil's advocate. I can say that to myself, but I'm still sitting on the couch.
Yes, you are. And your worst enemy is your best friend. Would you want your child to put a vampire in her room that sucks out her life, sucks out her lifeblood?
So what I'm hearing you say is, if you in the moment can't do it for yourself, think of what you would offer to somebody you love.
Someone that you love, or you put on that alarm that says self-esteem through mastery, or impress yourself today by doing something impressive.
Nice. All right. So what are the bullet points we're going to take away for adults who want to have better focus for themselves?
The focus one is you have to put in the pauses. And the way you do it is with your iPhone, your smartphone. You put in an alarm with a vibration, because you need 3 to hit 3 of the senses: sound, visual, and kinesthetic. So you set it where it vibrates, dings, and you get a word.
Kinesthetic meaning touch.
Touch. You have to put in a break, a pause, and you do it with your phone.
Okay, again, now I'm going to tell you what a client would say to me. Well, you're making me take a break, but then I have pressure to do something break-like. And I can't relax.
Okay, it's not a break, sweetheart. It's a pause to reorient you in time so you can be effective.
So what do I do with my pause? I get my alarm goes off. What am I doing with that pause?
You halt and ask yourself, what is the action step that will take me closer to my goal? Is it taking that walk? Is it going into the kitchen and getting myself a yummy, delicious, nutritious snack to fuel myself? What I want to say to adults is we care more about our devices. When your device gets under 4%, you panic, you stop, you recharge it. We have to do that for ourselves. We have to realize when we're out of fuel. So that pause stops you and forces you to say, what is it that I need to have 100% of the best quality of life today?
Based on what you're teaching me right now, what I would say to a client sitting in my office is take out your phone, make a list of things that you could fill that space with so you don't have to make a decision at that moment. You don't have to reinvent the wheel at that moment, because I don't know if I need a nutritious snack. And if I do, I don't know what I have in the fridge and I don't feel like making it and I don't have time. So what I would have a client do is actually write down, okay, in any given pause moment, I can drink water. So I'm going to go buy 10 flavors of yogi tea and have those tea bags sitting around. I don't even have to brew it. I can just pop it in, right? So I can have fun with my water, right? So it can be water, it can be a snack. So I'm going to go right now on Fresh Direct and I'm going to have snacks delivered that are healthy, that I can keep around, that I can take with me. So have those things at the ready. So in that pause, you're not making a decision.
Well, what I would like the person to do in that pause is to say, what is the action step that will make me most effective today? And it might be close Yahoo. It could be that simple. Close Yahoo and call my mom.
Right. But I want those answers at the ready. Like before they leave my office, close Yahoo is one of the possibilities. So then they can take out their phone in real time in the pause, look at the list. What are some possibilities I can do now so I don't have to figure it out?
Yeah, that's wonderful too. A lot of times, just the pause is going to reorient them. May I give you an example?
Please.
Let's say we have Bob. Bob has ADHD, extremely poor working memory. He works on all of the blueprints that he has to present at the presentation at the airport Hilton. They're all prepared. They're perfect. He's so excited. He's about to run out the door and his alarm goes off. It gives him what?
It gives him pause to remember the foil on his knob to go get the thing.
It gives him a pause and he says, okay, what is it that I need right now? The pause usually just reorients you. That's why we have the foil on the door. It's working memory.
When we do it in hypnosis, it becomes hypnotically associated, where then you may not even need the foil anymore. You may not need the alarm anymore because it's the triggers that now trigger the opportunity for the thing you do want, right? And you can do that for yourself.
Each and every time I'm about to go through a threshold, I halt. There's your post-hypnotic suggestion. That's going in or going out of any room, any plate, any threshold. I halt, take a deep breath, release the urgency because there's time. And I ask myself, what is that I need for this transition?
I love the release the urgency. The way I'll often say to people is you'll feel that life just becomes slow motion and you have this abundance of time to get to choose.
Yes, beautiful. Everybody can send me an email. Everybody can reach me. I'm Lisa Machenberg, the Hypnomom. I'm an instructor at HMI College. I'm at LisaRMachenberg. Do not forget that R. LisaRMachenberg at me.com.
I will put your contact info in the description below so people can reach Lisa Machenberg. She is a master of self-mastery. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Sandy.
much. I haven't seen you in a decade, and you're as brilliant as ever. So go ahead and send this to someone right now you know who could really use it. And don't forget to subscribe and follow on YouTube and Instagram, where you get more different stuff. And for live events that are coming up and unlimited hypnosis downloads, go to sandyameshypnotherapy.com. And don't forget to follow the Rockstar Change Making podcast. In fact, you can even ask Alexa. Just say, Alexa, please play the Rockstar Change Making podcast with Sandy Ames. You got this, Rockstar.